Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the gas prices, what's going on, why it's going on. Um, so, here in Pennsylvania, the price for regular gasoline is just above $5 per gallon. Diesel is like 6.50 per gallon. Um, and the diesel prices is really what affects everyone, regardless of whether you drive a truck or drive a car or not, because like almost all the food that gets to the supermarket gets there by truck, and the number one expense that trucking companies have is fuel. Okay, that's even a bigger concern than the payroll, the fuel cost. Okay, that is the biggest concern. Um, so the fuel prices are are basically immediately imputed into the price of everything that you buy, everything, okay, at every level. So everybody's affected by that every time you go to buy something, okay? So what do I think it is? Well, I think that this might be the thing that gets people in the cities to finally stop voting for Democrats, okay? This is going to squeeze them enough that they kind of start realizing that socialist policies do not work. Okay, and the way I tell people, you cannot implement a socialist policy without getting a reaction from businesses, right? So if they're gonna, let's say, increase the minimum wage, I'm gonna increase my prices. Okay, if you're gonna increase fuel costs, I'm gonna increase prices. Okay, so anytime costs go up, um, there's an immediate reaction to that. All right, if they're printing money, all right, what am I going to do? I'm going to raise prices. Okay, they're giving out stimulus checks, more money floating around out there. What am I going to do? I'm going to raise prices. Okay, so that's always going to be the reaction to something like that. You cannot cheat the system. All right, trying to play with the value of money. Um, it can work a little bit. All right, if people don't realize what you're doing, right? Like maybe like 20 years ago, when the government was saying that they were borrowing money with the intention of paying it back. People back then believed it, but at the point where every time, every year they've got like a $3 and $4 trillion deficit. At this point, people have come to realize that they're really not borrowing money; they're just printing it. And the obvious proof is that a trillion seconds is 31,000 years. Okay, the number trillion is a huge number. Okay, it shouldn't exist unless we're talking about molecules or stars or grains of sand. I think it's something like 7 trillion grains of sand on the entire Earth. Okay, so how can we have how can we have a budget deficit of some, I don't know, what is it now, 20 to 30 trillion dollars, when we only have like 7 trillion grains of sand on the entire Earth? Okay, so obviously they're printing money. They're doing it electronically because there's not that much paper. You can't possibly print that much money. They're just doing it on the computer. Okay, um, so going back to the price of gas, price of diesel, what's going on with that, right? Now, normally with with regards to the price of things, that's controlled by supply and demand. Okay, so is there a fuel shortage, right? And the answer is no. There isn't a fuel shortage now. Okay, but there is going to be one in the future because Biden administration is implementing policies that are going to reduce that in the future, and naturally, everybody is imputing that into the prices now. Okay, so it's a future shortage that's being reflected now. Now, this is being compounded, okay, because the future shortage is significant, but probably nowhere near what I mean, it's probably nowhere near what the price is reflecting right now, because what the price is really reflecting is inflation. Okay, that's probably the bigger threat, because on the one hand, Biden, and well, I don't want to say Biden because the guy has no idea where he is, what he's doing, what he's saying, but the people around him that basically write his scripts. Okay, um, they're the policies that they're pushing. Um, it's almost like a double whammy of future supply shortage, and inflation. Okay, so what's going on with on the inflation side is that people are looking at the fuel at their fuel supplies, right? The fuel reserves, and they're saying, well, on the one hand, the future supply is questionable, all right, and on the other hand, they're they're printing money, and so the money is going to be losing value, and so every month it seems that the price is going higher and higher. Think about that for a second. If I know that the price is going to be higher next week and I have an inventory, what am I going to do? Do I want to sell it this week, or do I want to wait and sell it next week? Naturally, I want to sell it next week, right? Or if I think it's going to be higher a month from now, I want to sell it a month from now. Okay, so if I think it's going to be higher 6 months from now, I'm going to sell it. So I can afford to sit on my inventory and wait for the price to go up. Now, with that mindset, it's like, okay, why wait? You know what? Let me estimate what I think the price will be a week from now, or a month from now, or 6 months from now, whatever time frame I'm working with. Let me estimate what the high point will be, and I'm just going to charge it now. Okay, and if people want to buy it, they'll buy it. If they don't want to buy it, hey, it's just going to sit there, and I'll sit there for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months or whatever. So that is the mindset of the people that sell things, right? And that includes me, right? I've got different businesses. I sell lots of different things, and I don't mind sitting on my inventory, right? There's no pressure on me to sell stuff. I can just let it sit in the warehouse, and and I can say, okay, well, the price is this. If you want it, take it. If you don't want it, it'll still be there 6 months from now. Probably at a higher price. Okay, so that's what's happening with the fuel companies, with the oil companies and the gas companies. They're anticipating a future shortage. They're anticipating future inflation, and basically they're marking up their prices based on future inflation, future shortages. But there's a triple whammy, right? It would have been bad if it was just two things, right? If you had future supply shortage and future inflation, that would be one thing, right? That was rather two things. But now there's a third thing. The third thing is that the Federal Reserve, whose job it is to fight inflation, right? That's why they exist. The Federal Reserve has become very partisan, and they're basically Biden puppets, right? Or Biden administration, or Democrat Party puppets. That's what they are. So they are not doing their job of fighting inflation, and when inflation is like a little bit, okay, it's expected that they're going to take mild measures. But when inflation is like obvious and everybody's talking about it, they're supposed to be coming at it with a sledgehammer. Okay, the job of the Federal Reserve is to scare the shit out of everybody, and make everybody believe that there's a deep recession coming, a depression, which is the only thing that's gonna get people to start thinking, hey, wait a second, maybe prices aren't gonna be higher in the future. Let me now start dropping my prices so I can unload my inventories. Let me sell off my inventories as fast as possible now while prices are still high, rather than sit on them. Okay, so that's what the Federal Reserve is supposed to do, which they're not doing. They're just not doing their job. They're Democrat Party puppets. Okay, so we got a triple whammy that we're looking at here. Okay, number one, future supply shortages. Number two, real inflation, right? That was caused by all the crazy money printing. And number three, an incompetent Federal Reserve that is partisan and not doing their job to fight inflation. Okay, so those three things are going to destroy the economy, right? They're going to destroy it. I mean, you can have one, maybe two. You can't have all three things working against an economy and not have the economy completely collapse at some point. Okay, so I mean, there it is. That's the reason why gas prices are so high. People are anticipating future inflation, and they're pricing everything not for where things should be now, but where they think they're going to be a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, whatever the high point that they think it's going to be. That's where they're pricing it at. Okay. And that's the normal reaction. I mean, I have a couple of different businesses I'm invested in. I mean, I take the same approach, right? I'm not, I'm anticipating where the price is going to be in the future, right? And I'm considering how long I can sit on my inventories, right? Obviously, if I'm selling something like milk that spoils, right? I can only sit on it for so long, right? But if I've got something that like lumber or brick or oil, that can sit, in storage indefinitely, there's no rush for me to sell it. I'll just sit on it, or I'll mark it up to what I think the future prices are going to be. Okay, so there it is in a nutshell. And for those of you that don't know, my background is accounting. Okay, in my prior life, before I started doing all this fun stuff, I used to be a chief financial officer. Um, I'm basically, I spent many years looking at these type of things, trying to anticipate where the market's going, so I could advise business owners. I no longer do it. So one of the things is so I'm not on top of it as much as maybe I was like 20 years ago, where I'm really following the supply demand. But I can kind of sit back and you know I can see all the indicators, right? Like I don't even know what the price per barrel is now versus a year ago versus 2 years ago. I mean, I just don't follow that stuff because I just don't care. Okay, I just don't care. But I can sense all the indicators, and I can see what's happening and which way it's pushing. And it's those three things. Uh, future, the future supply is being limited, right? Um, Real inflation, and a Federal Reserve that is partisan and just not doing its job. They're being completely incompetent. They should all be impeached, okay, because they're just not doing their job. Should all be impeached and removed from their office. That's the job of the Senate, right? That's what the Senate should be doing right now. They should be impeaching the Federal Reserve chairman and all the board members for not doing their jobs. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop some comments below. Let me know what you think, and if you kind of see this as having, as serving the goal, I hope, of getting people in the cities, particularly, to stop voting for Democrats. Because the way I see it, unless they're suffering, they're not going to change what they're doing, right? So they need pain stimulation to stop doing the thing that they're doing, which is voting for Democrats. That's the only thing that might save this country. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.